Okay, welcome to another Lifessa Lounge where we discuss life's essential advice and the important topics. So it's just me and Josh this week. Leon's going through the stress of moving house. So as much as he wanted to make it, he can't, but that's cool. These things happen. So let's jump into what's going on in the world.
Trump.
As much as I don't want this to become a running commentary of his time in power, I feel just like these first few weeks, it's hard not to. Like, I was watching a newsreel popped up on my Facebook the other day, and it basically went, we could go through the ramifications of all the decisions that he's made, but instead what we're going to do is list everything that's happened in his first 7 days in power, and that will give you an idea of the magnitude of the change. Yeah. And they went through, day 1 he did this, day 2 he did this, day 3 he did this, and I was just like, wow, what this guy has gone through. And in fairness, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do, but the aggressive nature by which he's going at it, even I was just like, I'm like, so you going with the wall? Oh look, we're going to build a wall in Mexico. Are you going to pay for it? No, we're not going to pay for it. Like, he's going through the immigrants. He's cutting funds everywhere. He's lowering taxes. He's putting job freezers on. I'm like, oh my god, every day.
It's 25 billion for the wall. He's tweeting the Mexican president saying, "Don't come if you're not going to pay for it." The Mexican president goes, "All right, cool, I'm not coming."
I'm not going to come. But what kind of? I'm like, I understand. We talk about using Twitter to engage your audience, right? Yeah. But it's not a viable platform for president-to-president communication. It all feels just like it feels like a TV show. So every time he was signing an executive order, all the people around there, his hand must be getting worn out this week. The amount of executive orders that he signed.
He's a president for like the new age of media in the sense that he actually leaves presidential meetings, to go to talk to Sean Hannity at Fox News and saying, "Oh, what's my ratings?" And and there was a video of him going and showing people the pictures of his inauguration, and he was showing them how big the crowds were. Look how big the crowds were. You can see the people. They came out all the way. Some of them, it was hard for them to come and see me, but they came out and they loved my speech.
You see how many people he's blocked off? The amount of organisations that he's blocked off Twitter because they posted these pictures up. It's now you're off Twitter.
He said a lot of organisations, they criticised his speech. He goes, "Right, you're not coming into press. You're not coming anymore. I want to have people that like me." It's like, okay. A bit scary, but it is what it is. Trump is Trump, and I think, give him credit, he's doing what he said he's going to do. Like, people that said, "Oh,"
I would say in fairness to him, I wouldn't say give him credit.
I'm giving him credit. Like, a lot of people say, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that," and when they come and don't do it, he's actually gone out and said, "Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this." And people are like, the greater of two evils. Nah, he's not the greater of two evils. It's now you're seeing what happens when you have the greater of two evils, and the actual evil actually starts doing what he says he's going to do, and that's what you had. That's what you had. Like, the people that didn't vote for Hillary, or the people that said, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for Hillary and see what Trump's going to do," he's doing it. You have the issue now where he's banned like immigrants from Muslim countries, and people get stuck in airports.
Well, I said to you earlier, it doesn't remind me of the video of the film The Terminal, but on a massive scale. It's not even one person stuck there anymore, just a huge raft. Like, and then you've got a judge who's got to come in and say, "Well, hold on. We need to put a hold on this. You made the executive order fine, but we need to take a review of this." And I'm like, now when you get to a point, I understand, like, there needs to be a balance of Congress stand in the way of what presidents want to do. Yes, I understand that. But for instance, you've got one part of them saying, well, if he wants to reduce the sanctions in Russia, then I'm going to get me and my team to work on putting these sanctions into law before he can take them out. And I'm like, I understand there being a degree of Congress and presidents don't always see eye to eye and they meet in the middle, and this is why you have the debates in the House of Congress anyway. But when you get your internal Congress directly going at your president and judges stepping in to revoke back on executive orders, I'm like, there's a power struggle and there's an internal political war that you're creating.
No, what's more scary is the state. In America, you have federal rights and states' rights, and he's actually trying to bully states into following his federal law, in the sense that he said to what do you call it, refugee cities like New York and LA, which let a lot of refugees, a lot of immigrants come into their cities. If you don't follow what I'm saying, I'm gonna cut your spending, your federal tax spending. And it's like, wow, that's like tyrant. That's being a tyrant. You're literally saying, if you don't follow what I say, and America's whole system is supposed to be like the states have the power and the feds have the fed power and the states have state power, but overall states' power in their cities is the leading power. And he's actually saying to them, no, if you don't follow what I'm doing, I will punish you. Like, it's like, wow, you haven't had a president that done that in a long time.
I think it's all going to come to so I think the first month will continue like this week as he's going to be doing a lot of stuff. It's all going to come to a head when the people who have voted for him realise that he can't actually do everything for them that they want, because they're the most vocalised parts of the US, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, then it's going to be an interesting point in time.
You see people already having remorse when they're saying, "Oh, you've cut my Affordable Care Act. I didn't know that was Affordable Care Act was Obamacare. I wouldn't have been against Obamacare when it was Affordable Care." It's like, in this day and age, you have no reason to be that ignorant, but they are. And because they don't understand things, they vote against their own interests. So they're voting against the Affordable Care Act, which is protecting them on healthcare, and now they're repealing it. I mean, that you're going to lose your healthcare. So if you just got cancer or you've got any like terminal diseases, you are more or less done.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? It's all the presidential debate, more so than any other one in the world, is the biggest advertising campaign in the world. Therefore, people don't always, and as with any advert, you might go and buy a product, but it doesn't do exactly as it said on the tin, but you didn't take the time to research. This is that magnified to a whole new level.
It's scary. It's really scary.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting period. I go back to, as I said last week, it's that point in time where you realise you have to take back control of your own destiny, and you can't rely on these things. I think now it's got to a point where you kind of gone past the point of you're just going to be doing the bashing of Donald Trump. I think now he's really backing up that he's going to do what he said he was going to do. And again, it just re-emphasises to me, boy, if you're going to do something in life, then the onus is now on you. You can't even be relying on the way that things are working or the changes he's putting at the moment, because 6 months down the line, he might revoke on those.
Yeah.
So it's down to you to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to get on with your life. As weird as that sounds, given he's the President of the United States, it's that point in time where you take back your own responsibility.
It's a great thing for both of us that we live in Britain. So,
well, we live in Britain who's trying to Brexit. So
no, man, it's not as bad as Brexit's happening. It's not as bad as Trump. And like,
I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, "Yeah, I hold now one of the most valuable passports in the world because they're Canadian."
Oh yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, everybody wants to come in now."
You're Canadian, Australian. I can imagine your passport's now worth a lot of dollars.
I reckon they're visa officers that are stacked with applications.
Imagine if you had dual nationality, like you're British, but you're Somalian, or you're British and you're Pakistani, and you can't come to America. You're like, okay, I'm flying over. Oh yeah, halfway through, go through Canada. If you have dual nationality, you might have issues with
you just get stuck. You'd be sent back.
I got a visa.
But that's what I thought with the. So it was pretty obvious he was going to follow up with that, because that was one of the things he said. It's just the way that it's come in smack bang like that, like no warning of it. So you've got people already flying over. You've got people who wouldn't have even got the news when they were interested. They would have just touched down at the other end and been like, in the queue, whilst you were in the air, decisions got made, you've got to go back home now.
So now you have to go back home. You have to pay for your flights to go back home. They put you on a flight to go back home.
I guess you just get put on a flight, because in effect you've already paid for a return flight that you're not going to use. So
Okay.
I think there's a you don't. I don't think you get to the airport and they're like, you're going to have to go home, but we're going to make you pay for a new ticket. I think they just send them back on the next flight. But I think that's why you're going to have flights that are backed and stacked up, because people are just. It feels surreal, and like I say, it all feels like a TV show. Everything's publicised. You've got all of it going out on Twitter. It feels just incredibly surreal when you're watching all of this stuff. Yeah, look at this executive order. It's like a big fanfare. Every decision that's being made. So, boy, we'll see what's happening. But on the basis of, so it's interesting when I was looking at the newsreel that popped up. So there's a change that Facebook did this week on the way that they have the news feeds pop up, which is to try and get rid of fake news per se. So they're trying to make it so it's more authentic and actual stuff that's trending, but also on top of the headlines they put some like kind of more detail below it, so that people don't just see the headlines. And I was like, I'm kind of happy to see that, because as much as I don't have to deal with as much as I don't buy into the fake news stuff as much, because I tend to do my own research, I'm hoping that this is going to stop that bombardment where you log into Facebook and someone's seen a headline and they share it and they pay no attention to what's actually in there, which absolutely does my head in. They're like, yep, massive headline, let me share it, let me tag 46 people in it, and let me then just try and start a conversation. And then you go into it, you have a conversation with them, and you realise they haven't paid any attention to what the actual article or the post is about.
Yeah, because they just see a headline and they just want likes. People share things for likes and retweets, they don't actually read stuff now. it takes a bit of time and a bit of like analytical thinking to actually read something and then come up with your own opinion on it. People don't have the time to do that now. They're lazy.
That's cool, but then I'm like, don't share it.
Yeah,
this is why. So I'm hoping this stops that and it gets rid of, right, there's a headline there and you need to pay attention to with that little detail. It's still going to happen.
It's the links. Like the links don't make any sense. Like so people post stuff and then they'll link it and the link will say CNN yellow brick road blah 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 and I'm like, bruv, can you not see the link? It's not an actual real website you're getting information from.
I don't think anybody ever pays attention to the link though. Like I see them on there. But I don't think a lot of them, because the thing is, the way that they're posted and the pictures they put up, they look like they come from a legitimate source.
Yeah.
I don't think unless you're into the habit of looking at it and going, right, it's like an internal spam filter that when you know about it, you just have it. So you see the item posted and you're like, well, hold on, I ain't even need to click on this because I know it's not legitimate because it wouldn't come from that kind of link.
Yeah.
But most people are just like, well, I see the headline looks like it's going to cause some debate or conflict. Let me just share it out there. And I'm like, I'm fine with people who want to take that route, but it does my head in. One, I don't like being tagged in stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like being tagged in stuff which then goes absolutely mad down my timeline. I don't like being tagged in stuff that nobody has done their research on before they spray it out. So I'm hoping that will fix some of this. And maybe we won't have to deal with people putting alternative facts out there, which is perhaps one of the best. I can't believe that someone would go out there and actually use that in a press conference.
It's because they have no shame. Literally have no shame. It's like, so we have alternative facts. This is alternative facts. Like, okay, that doesn't even make any sense. The word it's oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. How can you have alternative facts? Because facts are either true or not.
Well, they could have. It's the same. It's the equivalent of calling it an alternative truth.
Yeah,
like, it's the same thing, right? We said this. And really, the reality doesn't really measure up to it. But that doesn't mean we were lying, or it doesn't mean that we were incorrect. It could have just said we were incorrect in our analysis.
Yeah.
It doesn't even mean that. It just means it's an alternative fact. Like, what?
No shame. Literally have no shame. And I know what I think that when you have no shame like that, you actually have no respect for your audience. You literally think my audience is pretty stupid. And it's true because they vote for him, so it kind of by they are stupid. But you literally are saying to them, I think you're thick, and anything I say, you're going to believe me. So when I say I've got alternative facts, you go, yeah, there is such things as alternative facts. Yeah, the media are lying. Even though the media are telling us the truth about Trump, and media do lie about a lot of things, but about Trump telling the truth, but these are alternative facts. So Trump had the biggest inauguration of all time, the greatest speech of all time.
See, and I didn't even understand why he came out and said that, right? Because, so they were doing a comparison between the two. And I don't really think
it's small hands as well.
Yeah, but it didn't need that. You could have just came out and said, right, the numbers that you were putting there were incorrect. You didn't need to go to that grandiose level of saying it's the biggest turnout ever, especially when there is media and digital images which prove it's not. So you could have just came out and said what the media is saying, because firstly it started with Trump saying, right, some of what the media is saying is just incorrect. That's fine, but then to go a step further and say, actually, you weren't just incorrect, I'm now going to make up a complete fictional lie. And then brand, when I'm questioned, I'm going to call it an alternative fact.
That's what I'm saying, you have no respect for his audience. If you had respect for your audience, you wouldn't think they're that thick to believe you. But now, what that creates is that Teflon Don thing where he can say anything here and the media will call him up on it. CNN will say you're lying. And then because his supporters think that CNN has been lying all the time about him, they won't believe anything else the media actually says about him. So if he says, oh yeah, Trump did this, Trump did that, they go, no, you're making it up. You're lying. These are the alternative facts. Okay. With Trump, I believe I'm gonna let him do what he's got to do. If anything comes up, if it affects you, protests like people are protesting, you have to use civil disobedience right now. People in America, if you believe in that, do it. But for yourself, for me, I'd focus on what I want to achieve and not try and let that affect, not let the outside news stuff affect me. Because a lot of people with Trump, they get down and use that as an excuse. And I'd say, like I said in earlier videos, don't use it as an excuse. Do not let what's going on in the world, unless it affects you primarily, do not let it affect you and get you down, because in bad times, it's always an opportunity to succeed.
Well, it's one of those, you just have to, it's happened and it is what it is, so now you need to accept it and move on. But like I say, I don't want this to turn into a running commentary of Trump. It should die down. But in other matters, just like to put out there, yesterday I entered the 500 kilo club on leg press. I was quite pleased with that.
So 500 kilos is like, I'm like 92. So yeah, like 5 of me.
I'm 80. So it's literally 6 and a bit versions of me. Like it was, so I put a picture on there, one of my friends, he was like, wow, I'm 12 stone, that's like 80 kilos. And I was like, yeah, I'm only 80 kilos, so that's like 6.5 of me. And when I was at the funny thing was, is when I was in the gym, I was looking around, and they've only got, what I realised is they've only got 25 kilo plates in there. So basically, to stack, so I've basically stacked the machine out now. But I have to use every 25 kilo they've got in the gym. I actually feel a bit self-conscious when I'm walking around because I am literally hijacking every plate that's in there. Like one guy came over and he looked behind the machine and I was like, if you need a 25 plate, I've only got 1 set left. And he was like, no, I was trying to work out how much you put on there. And then another guy came over afterwards. He was like, wow, that's impressive. I was like, yeah, it's the first time I've done it. Like, I'm quite proud of it. So I've got like 5 reps out. But I was talking to, so when we were having the conversation, Leon actually, I was like, in my mind, it's one of those where it's a good example of just your mind getting the better of your body. So I've almost turned it into like a game. So like I missed out on doing my legs for a while. I used to convince myself, I was like, I'm running all the time. So I was like, I don't really need to do my legs, I won't fit it in. But then I got that great fear that anybody who does weights has, you're gonna end up with chicken legs, right? So I'm like, no, I need to go back to doing my legs. So when I started back on squats, I was like, man, I was only doing like 100 because I just got back into it. I was like, nah, I need to get up to 3 plates. So bam, whack on the extra 20. So now I'm up to 160 on that. So now I'm like, I've hit 3.5 plates, then we get to 4 plates. It's the same thing on the leg press. I was like, got to 400 and I was like, wow, I've stacked out the 2 side bits. Let me beat myself and see if I can stack out the top. So now I've stacked out the top. I'm like, now I need to reach 600. How am I going to do that? So now I'm thinking about, I've got 50 left. I can put 2 more 25 plates on there before it's stacked out. And then I'm going to have to get someone to sit on there to do it. So it's just like, it's creating a game of it. And I was reading an article on how Warren Buffett chooses his breakfast choices. Okay. Sounds weird, right? But they were trying to say how you could use it to adopt in your own life. So basically, he has 3 options, and he's basically they put out what it was. The 3 costs about one is like a sausage patty or something. One of them's like a sausage muffin from McDonald's, and they all cost a variant of between like $2 and $3.20 or something. And he's like, when I'm having a bad day, I like to go for the smaller option, or if the market's bad, I go for the smaller option. If it's kind of a medium market, I go for the middle option. If it's a good market, then I go for the higher option. And it's ridiculous because Warren Buffett could just go and buy the whole McDonald's franchise, right, if he wanted to. But the whole point he's made into it, and they were talking about how his dad is he's kind of created in his mind, it's gone into kind of like a game-like state. Okay. So he's taken his job. So then when they were referring to his dad, they were like, he was good at investing and he didn't even really like money, he just liked winning. And they put it into that whole approach of when you can have the ability to turn whatever it is you're doing into almost an internal competition where you need to win, it helps to motivate you. So whatever you're doing in your job right now, what can you find within your job that you're doing that you can use as a way of creating your own self-competition? So I don't know, whatever you work in, if you work in sales, instead of just having what you need to hit to get your...
so you're saying leveling up, so every time you...
Well, some people have like a quota in it that they need to hit, but you're creating your own one. So you're like, I'm not hitting the company quota this week, I'm hitting... company quote's 30 sales in a week. I'm hitting 50 because I'm trying to beat myself, and then next week I'm trying to hit 60 because I'm beating myself. And you stop paying attention to the quantity, you start paying attention to the competition.
So I call that like so when I call it like so you know Super Saiyans, Goku.
Oh yeah.
So Goku, every time Goku goes up a Super Saiyan, his hair gets longer, it gets brighter. So every time, initially he's like playing Saiyan. He's got black hair. Gets level 1, he gets big blonde hair, gets level 2, gets bigger blonde hair, level 3 gets long big blonde hair, and level 4 he gets dark hair and gets a tail.
Yeah.
And then he keeps going up. And then because he keeps reaching targets, and that's what I think people are. So like I see people telling you, so you're on legs, you're Super Saiyan level 3, and then next level Super Saiyan level 4.
But then you like power up, yeah.
So each time you're hitting a target, so I can understand what you're saying with the game, and it's like it also it's fun. Once you're always challenging yourself with your targets, it feels fun for you reaching achievements, and that's like, it's not, I'm not saying dopamine, what's the word, it's not dopamine, it's another one, It's like it gives.
No, but you get a dopamine hit when you
get
get that.
yeah.
It is. You get a dopamine hit from a lot of different ways, but it is creating that. Once you create that, and it's a difference between when people say the people who are best successful, they're like they do it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
They don't mean that. I think sometimes people adopt that too literally, like the love of the game as in like a sports game. Whereas what we're talking about is anything that you're pursuing in life. Once you can create a game-like state out of it, then you start doing it for the love of the game, the love of the competition, the love of the chase. Like a lot of them are doing, and that's what they do. They create a love of the chase, and then when they get to a point of success, they're like, "All right, well, where can I create a new competition now?" That's why some people are just forever going, because when they get to point one, they're like, "Well, I'm better than all of these, but I need to be better than me right now." So they create the next state.
Did you hear the news that Bill Gates might be the first trillionaire by 2022 or 2024? He might be the first trillionaire. And it's really weird because he left Microsoft like years ago, but he's done so many other different things in the background. It's like this guy's all. So what pushes someone to always want to keep?
But they keep going on, and this is what because so most of these people at any given point in time, they could just set up shop and they would never have to work for the rest of their life. But they found something. One, they found something that they're passionate about and enjoy doing. Two, they've created that game-like state. Again, how can I always be better than myself? And the thing is, when you've got like a Warren Buffett and you've got like a Bill Gates, what you find is you know that they're doing it for the love of the game and to better themselves, because half the money, most of the money they're getting, they're giving away anyway. Yeah. It's not about the money just banking the money. They've reached a point where like I'm financially stable. Now it's about how can I better it. So Bill Gates, he looks at ways to give back to the world, for example. Like, but this is why it's essential to find that piece. And even if you're in a job right now where you're thinking, well, this isn't exactly what I want to do, you can still create that inner competitive nature. Like some people are more competitive than others. I'll argue I'm quite competitive. I'm cool. I'm happy to accept that. Yeah. But in that, I can always create a next target for myself. So like again, on my legs, I'm like, right, hit the 500 club, how am I hit the 600 club? And it's mad because I was already thinking about it, and I was like, I'd done my squats before that, so I'd done like 10 sets of squats, and I was like, if I went for leg press first, I think I could probably do it. But then this is after a week, this is on a Saturday. From Monday to Friday, I've already run, I've already run like 80 miles. Yeah. So my legs are already going up 80 miles. So I'm like, but I don't want to stop any of those. All in my mind, it was just like, right, we'll hit the next one, let's whack on, get to the 600 level. Like, and it's the same thing you do when I adopt stuff at work. Like, I'm not trying to beat somebody else. I don't want to get into a competitive. I don't get me wrong. I'm going against other people, but they're not my mile stick that I'm trying to beat. My mile stick is this is where I am right now, and I'm trying to take myself up to the next level.
Yesterday I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is this actor, singer, He was in a punk band. He's a journalist as well for Rolling Stone. And the guy is prolific. When I say he's working constantly, and then Joe Rogan asked him, "What pushes you?" And he goes, "I just want to smash it." He goes, money doesn't motivate me. It's not about money. It's just a work rate. It's work rate. I just want to smash it. And like the guy is a bit weird in the sense that he knows every concert. He's written down every concert he's ever done and where he's done it. So when someone says to him, "Oh, you were here in 1984," he goes, "No, I was actually here in 1982." And he works like 7 days a week, and then he also he does a radio show. He's writing books. He reads a lot of books. He's writing for the Rolling Stone. He does spoken word events where he goes and talks about his life and stuff. It's like, so what keeps you motivated? He goes, well, when I was a kid, I had ADHD, and it gave me Ritalin to like calm him down. And then as he became an adult, it helped. So as soon as he became a teenager and he started working part time, it helped him because he worked 3 jobs. Yeah. He could just go, so he'd work on a Saturday, work on a diner, run home, have a shower, then work in a bar at night time, and have a few hours sleep, then carry on doing his 3rd job. It's like, wow. And they asked him, what motivates you? He goes, well, I don't find fun, don't get me wrong, I like having friends and stuff, but I don't find enjoyment in friends. I actually enjoy enjoyment in the work. And what pushes you? He goes, well, I just want to smash it. I just want to smash it. It's not anything. I'm not competing with anyone. With myself, I just want to smash it. I just want to. When I die and I'm gone, people look at it and go, wow, this guy was prolific.
But this is what I mean, and again, that's like that game like state. I was thinking about it, so I was on for a run. I was running a bit slower than normal, to be honest. My legs are still struggling from yesterday. But I was thinking, when you create that game like state, because this is, so it was funny, when I woke up this morning, I was like, right, I need to really focus on doing this, that, and the other. Because I was like, this is the one game I can't lose. So the game of life is the one game that I can't lose. We can get I can break up into quarters,
Yeah.
like, or half, like if that's American football, or halves if you're playing football, right, or treat it like it's a league, each week is a match. But whatever it is, I can't afford to lose at this game because I can't come back and do it again.
Okay.
Like, and when you start thinking about it in that state, again, creating that internal competition for yourself, creating those mile sticks that you need to hit, because this is the one game that if you get to the end of the line and you haven't achieved what you wanted to, you haven't found happiness or fulfillment in life, then you've lost, right? You've lost, and you can't get that back. It's not one of those where you can revert back and say, all right, you know what, I'm going to reinvest for next season. There's no next season. The game's done.
Okay.
Like, and so again, this is part of that. If you can create a game-like state, one in what you're adopting to in your work or what you're pursuing, and in your life in general, then I feel like you're setting yourself up to always find that inner motivation to keep yourself going.
Okay, so you're finding that inner peace to be fulfilled, life fulfilled. Because I think a lot of people, when they hear success, like I always say in every video, I think what you mean is like in life and everything, and in life in total. So if you want to make your family life to be more successful, you have to go out and there work for it, and then you have to understand that it's your one life, one chance to do it. If you want to travel, it's your one chance to do it. If you want to do it, it's your one chance because this is your life, and there is no people think this is a rehearsal. It's just the whole.
But this is what I mean, and nobody gets there until the end. And it's like who was I talking to? I was maybe I heard it on a podcast or something. It's like, well, I think it was Steve Jobs. Someone that talked before. He's like, the most important thing is to understand when you realise that you're going to die one day, then you realise you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like, and it does get to a point where if you went and spoke, and I think it's such a worthwhile thing to spend some time speaking to older people in life, because they can tell you, they're not going to look back, and not all of them are going to look back and say, oh yeah, I had a bad life. A lot of them will look back and say, I had a good life. But when you ask them the things that they regret not the things that they didn't do.
Okay.
Like, and when I say success and fulfillment, I specifically use the word fulfillment because success means different things to different people.
Yeah.
Like, and as we've said before, for some people it's money focused.
Yeah.
For some people it's finding love. For some people it's traveling the world. Whatever it is, you just need to understand you've only got this one opportunity to find that fulfillment, because you can't revert back and do this again.
Yeah.
And so don't get to the end of a life and look back. And even if you're like there, this is where you get people who have like midlife crises. Oh my God, I've reached midlife and I've done nothing. But you're cool because you're midlife. You've got a whole lot of time left. But start taking it seriously, that you can't just keep putting everything off until tomorrow. Because like I say, this is the one game when you get to the end, if you've lost, there's no replay on it.
Yeah.
You can't start again. It's not PlayStation, and you can go back to an auto restore space. It's not. It's not that. It's just this is game over at the end of it. Like,
yeah, I think it's important to have that self-awareness that you will die one day. I think also that something you touched on when you said people that when they've lost, when they're at rock bottom and they have nothing to lose, those people are always usually people that are more successful, because once you have nothing to lose and you have that mindset, you have nothing to lose. You actually take risks. And you actually go out and pursue things further than people that say, oh, I can't do this because if I do this, I might lose what I already have. And they don't take that risk. But when you have nothing, when you've lost everything, like you find people that have cancer and terminal, they actually, those last couple of months of their life,
do more
than they've done in the past 20 years of their life, because they feel now they have nothing to lose. If they have that mindset from the get-go, they'd probably have a more fulfilling life.
And it's different, and don't get me wrong, because I understand I can be a bit blunt in the way I come across in some of the messages I deliver sometimes. And it's not easy to find that, like, heaven forbid, you don't want to wish any illness on someone for them to have that realisation in life. And it's not easy to switch that mindset. But there's a point in time where you just have to be like, okay, well, like, things aren't running as I want them to run right now. If you can look in the mirror and say, am I happy?
Yeah.
And you can say yes to that, then you're cool, because whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah.
But if you look at it and say, am I happy? And you're like, well, I'm 60% happy, or I'm 50% happy, or I'm 90% happy, then there's still something else. There's still an area to bridge. Can I say I'm 100% happy? No, but that's why I'm doing stuff to pursue and try and make a fulfilled life, right? And if you can't do that, you need to take stock and understand what changes do I need to make. Yeah. If that means fulfillment for you is settling down and...
Last question, do you think you'll ever be happy? Because I think in the sense that there's a gift and a curse with people like us is that we have this thing where we're always chasing, and we love to chase, and then we're always chasing that, I don't know, greatness or success, but we reach something, we go, yeah, we've done it, and then on to the next. So you reached the 500, you were like, got 500, and then now 600. You get what I'm saying?
I don't think I'll ever be satisfied.
Yeah.
Will I ever be happy?
Yeah.
I think I'll reach a point of happiness.
I meant the wrong word. I think I should say satisfied. So will you ever be satisfied? Because that's that gift and the curse thing where you have that hunger, but then will that hunger ever be what's the word? Is it satisfied or
So and it's different for everybody. Again, I have a competitive nature on competing against myself.
Yeah.
Therefore, whatever bar I reach, I'll set another one. So will I be satisfied in the sense of I'm cool, I'm just going to stop? I would like to think no. I might somewhere down the line say, right, I'm cool, I'm just going to stop now. But I don't envision that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
For some people, they might be like, do you know what? I'm completely happy with exactly where I am now. Not gonna have to punch above. I'm gonna stop focusing on my work, for example, and I'm gonna pursue everything I wanted to do in travel.
Okay.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, they might be like, for a happy and satisfied life for them, it might be like settling down and starting a family. But where they are right now, they may be single or something. So this might be that they've got to now spend time trying to look for, trying to make more time to meet new people. Yeah. I'm not going to say go out and force a relationship because it's one of those things where I don't believe you can force that. Like if you're trying to force it, then you could. Don't get me wrong. People could use dating apps like
get a Russian bride or go get a Thai bride and then.
Yeah, but don't force it. I believe that's one of them ones where you should just sit down and. But again, if you're not in where you want to be right now, it just means that you might need to be making more time to go out and meet new people, wherever the medium is that you choose to do that by. But I think, will I ever be happy? I'd like to think I was. I'm not unhappy. I'm just not at a point of absolute 100% happiness.
In the sense that, like, I'm not saying, because I think happy is the wrong word. Happiness can be happy at any point in time. I think satisfaction is where am I totally satisfied? Level satisfaction. So your level of saying on leg press is like 500 of a level 5, and then your level of satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10. I wouldn't say that you're a 3. I'd say you're more a 6, 7, and then you want to get to a level of 10.
Well, it's nice. For me, it's almost like a speedometer. So, like, say 100 miles an hour is your satisfied state. So when you hit, so for instance, yesterday when I hit the 500 kilos, I was like, boom! I hit 100 miles an hour, and so I was satisfied for like a split second, and now I'm back to naught again. And I'm back to naught while I build up getting to 600. Right? When I hit 600, it'll be like 100 miles an hour. Yes, I'm satisfied. Then back to the drawing board. And again, this comes into that competitive nature. You hit that point of being satisfied. When people say they're never satisfied, there's a point in time where they are. They're like, yes, I won. And they have a split moment in time where they're satisfied, but then they go back to the start again.
Okay.
Like, so I think, again, it all falls back to that kind of inner competition. But when it comes to are you happy, I think it's a good point to touch on, because this is one of those where I think you said you can be happy at any given moment in time, but people don't necessarily take the choice to be. So what I mean by that is there are times in life where you'll be hit with challenges, and I think that some people forget to look at what they have in life to be grateful for. Yeah. So like we've spoke about it before, like just in being here, like you've just straight up won the lottery. People go to try and win the national lottery or the whatever it is, the super one in the States. Yeah. But you've already won a lottery by being here. So like whenever, and this goes back to some of the stuff we went on in Facing Your Fears, when you look at a failure in life, when you take a step back and look at it with more perspective, you realise things aren't as bad as you think they are. You can start looking at it, okay, well I woke up with my health this morning. I woke up with a roof over my head, where there are people who are not waking up, who are sleeping rough on the streets, who are living in war zones, right? Yeah. But you woke up, you've got money in the bank. Like, you might not be rich to a degree of how we're talking about millions and billions, but you've got money in the bank, you can pay your rent, you've got a heated roof over your head, you've got a job that you can go to. And what I mean is, understand what you've got to be grateful for. And I feel that people need to, one, understand and grateful of what they have, and two, have an air of optimism as to when they're addressing.
I don't think people realise they're winning. Like, I listen to Brilliant Idiots, and Charlemagne says this all the time. He said it like for the past 2 years. If you've got a house over your head, you are winning. If you can wake up in the morning and you've got a fridge full of food, you're winning. If you can put clothes on, if you've got clothes on your back, you're winning. People, we put ourselves, we go on social media and we look at Facebook and we go, oh, this person's getting married, I'm not getting married, this person's lost weight, I'm not losing weight, but then if we put ourselves in perspective of the world and see where you are in the world and think, like we said before, we won the ultimate lottery in life, and the thing like of us being here is we've won. So we have to make the most of that, and we have to realise that our time is now. And so like you said, there's no just rehearsals, and you also have to be optimistic in the sense that unless you reach rock bottom, and even then you reach rock bottom, like I said, a cancer victim, someone that's been told they've got terminal cancer, they usually, in the last 12 months of their life, they usually have lived a more fulfilling life than they lived in the previous 20 because they realise that they're going to die, and they realise that they realise that they're nothing to lose. So they have that air of optimism, like, well, I'm going to enjoy every day of my life, and even if I have setbacks where I feel ill today, tomorrow I'm still alive. I've got one more day of life. I'm gonna maximise it and live it till I can't live it anymore. And most people, we don't realise that because we think that I think a lot of people think they're gonna live forever.
We don't have a full appreciation of what we have. So when you're talking about people who are told they've got a finite date, and a lot of times people tend to live on longer than this finite date, but they have an appreciation for every day that they wake up. And I think we get into a habit of taking things for granted. Yeah. And I think one, you need to have an appreciation for what you have when things are going good. Like, you just need to have that anyway. But it's so important to have that when things are going bad. So when you feel like the world is falling down around you, kind of start from scratch. Almost start from like if it was finance, start from like a zero-based budgeting point of view, right? Okay, let me start from a zero base. Now let me add up what I've got to be grateful for. So I woke up this morning, I've got good health. I do have a roof over my back. I have got food in the fridge. I've got a job to go to that's going to pay me. I might not be settled down, but I've got a good friend network and support around me. I've got my family around me. I've still got my mum and my dad, or for some people they have, for some people they haven't. But you start to rack up and you're like, actually, for everything that's going on, let me start from this base of stuff that I've got to be grateful for. Yeah. And that allows you to carry on with that air of optimism in life. Because again, we talk about positivity in the mindset. But that's based on you manifest that in how optimistic you are. So when you go on to take on a new challenge, don't go into a new challenge thinking you're going to fail. You go in thinking that you're going to win. Yeah. Like the people who win in life, they do treat stuff excuse me, as a competition, but they go at it with an air of optimism that I'm going to win, not I'm going to lose.
Do you know why I'm grinning?
Why?
Trump. That's Trump. What he said is Trump. Trump goes in there thinking, I'm great, it's amazing, and I'm going to win. You know why? Because we're winners. And he's the greatest example of optimism ever. This guy is rubbish, but he's president of the United States. Yeah. He is like, he's positive, is it called?
Affirmation.
Affirmation in action. He's positive. I don't like him, but he's positive affirmation in action. I've never met anyone like him that said, I'm great, I'm amazing, and he does it. And much of people who hate on him and stuff, like 2 years ago, we were laughing, Donald Trump being president of the United States, ha ha ha, that's not what happened. Look where we are now. If he's not the picture of positive thinking, and I'm not saying in a positive light, like I agree with what he's doing, but I'm saying in like, you take an example of like, he's gone from being a billionaire to being president of the United States. Okay, I'm bringing it back down again, but what I'm saying is, if you think positively, anything is possible.
I think I find it, my feelings, I find it hard to endorse him. But what I would say is he's a good example for people to use to be optimistic. And you can find it with a lot of people. So we reference Gary Vee quite a lot, right? But when you look at Gary Vaynerchuk and the way that he started up, you look at him, he came in as an immigrant into the country, and he always attributes that to giving him kind of his battle of nature. Like he loves the competition, he loves the thrill of the game, right? Like he loves going against the hard times. He's got billions and billions of 60 million 600 million his company's worth now? 600 million company from a man that came into the States as an immigrant. Like, you see what I mean? These are examples for you when you need to look for why can I be optimistic about me going on against a new challenge? Why have I got the sense of that I can have an air of optimism that I can win? Because these examples in the world exist. Yeah. Like you've got Donald Trump, who no one believed in, and he's gone on to become the most powerful man in the free world. And you've got these people who come in. You've got like a Gary Vee who's come in as an immigrant and has gone to build a huge company. Like you've got all of these examples of people who went from nothing to something. All because they had the air of optimism, and also they kind of got into a habit of preparing themselves for the unexpected. So that when the unexpected hits, they know how to deal with that. Yeah. And there was so I was watching, it was a clip that I saw on Instagram, and so it was Steph Curry doing his warm-up, right, for a game. Now, he was doing a warm-up, but he was doing it, so someone will throw a ball across him, so one of them, he went down on the ground to catch it and then got back up and passed it out. He had one where he chucked it through his legs. He done another one where he put the ball in the shot put position and he done a spin and threw it off. And what I read into that is like he is training. So before the game starts, he's training himself on how to deal with the unexpected.
Yeah.
He never knows when in the game he might have to do a pass the whole length. So he's training himself into the mode of doing that. He never knows where there might be 3 seconds left on the clock and he needs to grab that ball so he can make the pass out. And I loved when I was watching it because I was like, you see him and you see all the training he does where he does all these free throws. And the reason he is so good at three-pointers is because it's just built into, he can do it with his eyes closed because he's done it so many times.
Yeah.
But what I liked about this more was, that's the stuff that he expects to have to do in the game, the three-pointers, right? This is the stuff where he doesn't know whether it's going to happen, but he's preparing himself for it. And if you take that out into life, this is, right, I don't know when the unexpected is going to come along, but I can start to prepare myself for what I would do in that instance. Like, and I really like, it was a small clip, but I was like, it's only a small clip for a warm-up in basketball, but it says so much about how you can approach life and prepare yourself.
One of the things about, this week's been so, this week we've had Serena Williams winning her 23rd Grand Slam, and then in this final today, as we record the podcast, we have Rafael Nadal and Federer that are in the final. And I was thinking about these guys are, when I said they're all-time greats, and they're like, so Federer's like 35, Nadal's 30, Serena Williams is in her 30s, it's in her 30s as well. But they have this hunger where they must be just doing the same thing you said earlier, they must have to be doing this game where they keep levelling up. Because I think, if I was Federer, I would have just retired by now. I would have thought I would have been there. I've done 17 Grand Slams. I'm the greatest male player of all time. I'm retired.
But he could just,
But he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
He carries on. He keeps leveling up, and he keeps going. Okay, cool. So I've got this target. And I'm like, what motivates you? What drives you? And I think it is what you said earlier. It must be that where I'm at level 17, I'll get to level 18, I'll get to level 19. What pushes stops me? Because I was thinking about lining up records. Like, we have this thing with records in this country that once someone reaches a record, we get rid of them. So, like, Wayne Rooney's reached the English record and he's reached the Man United record. I was thinking, why don't he go on and smash the record? Why don't he extend it? Why do you think that his career's over now and he's like, he's finished and move him on? And then he'd just be like one ahead of Charlton. Why don't it's that mindset of saying, okay, I've reached a record, now I want to smash it and go further on than what's been established. And I think, like, in this country compared to like America, we have this thing where we reached a record, we think, okay, step aside, let someone else take.
But I don't think it's down to the people from the outside. It's always down to the individual. So two good examples in football would be like a Ronaldo and a David Beckham, right? Yeah. Like, they were good, but you'll find, when you talk to like when Alex Ferguson been interviewed, and when you talk to people who played with Ronaldo, they're like, he's one of the best professionals that you come across, because he's forever practicing to try and get better and better and better. Now, there's the ongoing debate continuously, Messi or Ronaldo, right? Yeah. Doesn't make any difference what side of the line you fall on. We're arguing who is the greatest player in the world. Yeah. Now, at any given point in time, either of these two could have just stopped and said, well, I'm great, I don't really need to do anymore. I use Ronaldo because you don't see as much of the focus on Messi and kind of the training he does in the background, but with Ronaldo you do. Like, he focuses on crafting every component of him, and I'm talking about his ability. I'm talking about you look at him. Physically he's a beast for a football player, right? That's because he could have stopped and been like, well, I can be great and just be skinny, but then he's expanded on top of that. You've got like, and even to a degree, and I can kind of say it more now because he's at Real Madrid, but you've got like a Gareth Bale to a degree. Obviously, I say that because he's from Spurs and I don't like Spurs, I'm a gooner. Yeah. But he's another one. When he's gone out there, he's actually a good example. When he went out to Spain, everybody was almost like they wanted him to fail. Like, he was getting blamed for stuff. It was hard for him to settle in, but continuously, he could have just said, at that point in time, his stock value, he could have just gone to anywhere in the world. He could have been like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go to somewhere else in the world. But he didn't. He persisted and he stayed.
Also, what Gareth Bale is a great example of is that he was really good before he came to Real Madrid, but then he's actually got better. He's levelled up in the sense that he's seen people like Ronaldo and Benzema around him, and he's levelled up. Because of Gareth Bale, I'm not a Spurs fan, so I didn't watch a lot of Spurs games, but I don't think he was that great at headering at Spurs. But he's learned from Ronaldo the vertical leap. Ronaldo's vertical leap is ridiculous. His vertical leap, and Gareth Bale's is up there as well. He's learnt from Ronaldo how to like head the ball, and he scores goals from headers now. And he's been able to look around and say, okay, these people are at this level. I need to level up to get to that level with them. Yeah. And he's improved as a player at being a Real Madrid. And it's very hard because you think at Spurs he was a very good player at Spurs, but coming to going to Real Madrid, he's actually gone around, looked at the people around him, and he said, okay, these guys at this level, I need to level up and improve my skill set and get there. It's that hunger for more. It's that, well, I'm a great player, but I want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people possess that, and it's the mindset. We all say it's a mindset, but it's a mindset and application as well. He had the mindset of, well, I want to be a winner, but it's application in the training. Well, I'm going to be the first person in, I'm going to be the last person out. That's Ronaldo.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, in a competition of, I'm not trying to be better, because if you wanted to just be, I'm going to be the last person out, you could wait for the second last person to go and then be like, yeah, I'm done, I've proved my point.
Yeah.
But they don't. They stay for hours on end out of there. They do stuff. It's one of those where the winners are training when you're not watching them.
Yeah.
They're not training when the people around them are watching. They're not training when the media are watching them. It's when the people aren't watching them, when you know they're in competition with themselves. So behind closed doors at night. So for instance, people working on businesses or something, behind closed doors, they're working into the late hours. You don't need to see that. They don't shout and make a big story about it, but they're putting the work in. Not because they're trying to beat. They are, again, I put back to this. They are trying to beat the competition. But the way that they go about beating the competition is they're trying to beat the person they are right now.
Yeah.
They're creating a dream that says, the dream that I want, in order to be able to get there and achieve that, I need to become this type of person. So they already set themselves up to say, who I am right now is not good enough to get me there. But if I set this dream, then I can get myself up to the person I want to be to get that. And again, it kind of just comes back to, can you create, within your life, whatever you're doing, can you find a game stay out of it? One, again, always looking back to me to treat life as a game that has no like I say, auto restore option, and in that way you need to be going out to win.
And then so then if we're doing games, then I think books are cheat codes, because books give you the application so you can actually learn how to beat the boss. And the more you read, the more like you read and you train and you apply what you're learning, then it allows you to go up in the game. So as you shared, like the 9 books that you're reading right now, people should be, as much as they're working, they should also be trying to like educate and train themselves so that they so it makes it easy for them to level up, so they can expand their thinking and then improve their skill sets. So yeah, so as we're gaming, so life is a game. We're the controllers, so we're the PlayStation pads, and books and playing is a training.
I would say, so I would not even necessarily say books. So if I took the game state and put it into a sport,
yeah,
your knowledge is your trade, is the time on the training field. So they get better. So footballers, for American footballers, they get better by the amount of free throws that they do in basketball, the amount of free kicks they take, the amount of passing drills they do, right? That's how they get better at their craft. Outside of that, if you apply yourself to anything else, how you get better at your craft is through knowledge. And the reason I say it doesn't just stick to books. Books is a component of that.
Yeah.
And you can consume books in different ways. So we're fans of like using Audible for audio books, because you can have them on the go, right? But then you've got the actual application that goes with it. You learn from application, right? So all of this, your knowledge is your cheat codes, and it's going about cultivating that knowledge. So whenever you've got an opportunity, is there an opportunity where you could maybe make time to read a book? Or it doesn't even need to be that. Find five websites that have good resources. I think I posted a couple online. I'll put one link under the video under there, where you've got great resources that you can go to every day to expand your knowledge. So
Lifessa.com. Lifessa.com, because Lifessa.com is a great website.
Just happens to be us. But yeah, so you could, for instance, ours is a good example. You could go to Lifessa on a daily basis. You could go to in.com, you could go to success.com, you could go to entrepreneur.com, whichever suits you. And again, you can consume other things. So we listen to, for instance, a lot of podcasts. We listen to Brilliant Idiots every week that we talk and discuss about. Now they touch on different kind of topics, but again, they give you different views and outlets on it. So are there 5 podcasts? You listen to our podcast right now. Are there another load of podcasts that you can consider that you can get knowledge from? Could you squeeze in listening to 5 TED Talks a week where you're going to expand your knowledge from? Could you aim to focus on downloading 1 new book a week on audio?
And I don't want to hear this excuse that I haven't got the time to listen to it, because you actually do have the time. So you run like, how many miles a day do you run?
17.
Yeah, so 17 miles a day. When you're running, you can put podcast in your ear or audio book in your ear and run, listen to that. Whilst you're on your way to work, you have a phone, you have an iPad, you have a Kindle. There's so many different ways of like getting information nowadays, so there's no excuses for that. So on your way to work, you can listen on an audio book, or you listen to a podcast, you can listen to a TED Talk. Also, like instead of watching EastEnders for half an hour, you can, or Walking Dead, you can there's always time to get
But
information.
even change your habits, right?
Yeah.
So when people consume social media, we go onto Facebooks and we go onto Twitters, and we go out and share certain kind of links. But as you're going down your newsfeed, there's all these different links that you can go in that will give it. So instead of looking at something that is the trending topic to make you laugh at the moment, look at that article that's the trending topic in an area that you want to improve in. You've got YouTube videos, so if you want to get better at photography, example, if you want to get better at art, if you want to do programming, you can get all of the courses now online where you can just download the course. I'm like, it's a bit more flexible than ever for you to learn. So like I say, it's learning and consuming that knowledge is more accessible than ever. I think, again, it all comes down to understanding, and the key principles from this is, if you can create a game-like state for life, again, and just be fully appreciative of the fact that you're waking up in the world. Be fully appreciative of it and understanding the fact that we've won. In being here, we're already winning. Like, we've got a chance to live this life. Yeah. But understand that it's finite. We're not going to live for, you said, for example earlier, people think they're going to live forever. Yeah. Because everybody knows you're going to live to an old age, so we don't really take seriously that this is not a trial run. So I think just get into the state of being appreciative of what you have in the good times, but use that in the bad times to help you through. Like I say, and this is one of those where it's more building on some of the conversations we've had before. Because I know for me, sometimes I just come across as, deal with it. Don't go in the self-pity mode kind of thing. But the reason that you can get out of those states is remind yourself of everything that you've got to be grateful for, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. You have one life. You've won the ultimate lottery. And just be optimistic and live your life. Just go out there and do it.
Just have that air of optimism in everything that you approach. Yeah. Whenever you're going into something new, you're looking at it from the state of, right, I'm going in with a mindset of, I can win this. Okay. As opposed to going in with a negative mindset. You always maintain that inner winner, like straight up. And like I say, air of optimism, and always focusing on what can you do to create a competitive state, so that although you know you're better against other people, forget about them. Create your own competition and you'll beat them indirectly. Always focusing on perfecting your own craft. And when you feel like you've perfected it, you're never going to be perfect, right? So you're always aiming for perfection, and you're maybe not going to make it there. But again, going through those measures of, right, I've got my 100 miles an hour, I'm satisfied now, I'm reverting back to the start and I'm going again. What you'll find is, like I say, there's a difference between satisfied and happy. I always feel that everybody has an opportunity to wake up and be happy, but in order to do that, you just need to remind yourself of those reasons for it. So I think that's a good point to wrap it up for the week. As ever, so you can check us out, as we mentioned, with the resources. You can check us out on lifessa.com. You can follow us on Facebook, where we post those. We can be one of your daily resources that we use for examples. Subscribe, obviously, to our podcast if you want to consume this on the go, again, as opposed to having it on YouTube. Just an example of all the options that are out there, right? So, as ever, life is only as good as your mindset, and your results are only as good as your hustle. So we'll see you next week when we'll have the three of us back and we'll go at it again.
Peace.